The town's secret. Daniel Cole adjusted his coat against the biting wind as he stepped into the town of Black Hollow. The place unsettled him. It wasn't just the eerie silence or the way the fog curled around the cobblestone streets. It was the absence of life. The town seemed frozen, as if waiting for something terrible to happen. Daniel had covered many strange stories in his career, but Black Hollow felt different. The letters he had received, written in shaky handwriting, had urged him to come. They spoke of disappearances, of an evil lurking within the church, of a priest who was not what he seemed. As he approached the only inn, the Hollow's Rest, he noticed a few figures watching him from behind shuttered windows. Their eyes held something between fear and warning. Inside the inn, the air was thick with the scent of burning wood and unease. A handful of patrons sat hunched over their drinks, speaking in hushed tones. The moment Daniel stepped in, all conversation ceased. The innkeeper, a gaunt man with hollow cheeks, approached warily. "You a traveler?" "Journalist," Daniel corrected. "I'm here about the missing people." A tense silence followed. The fire crackled, the only sound in the room. The innkeeper's face darkened. "You should leave," he said. "Some things aren't meant to be found." Daniel leaned in. "The church. Father Mathias. What do you know?" The man visibly tensed. Around the room, other patrons averted their eyes. An old woman in the corner muttered under her breath, "If you value your soul, leave before the Sabbath." Daniel didn't reply. He had come too far to turn back now. The next morning, Daniel made his way to the church. It was an ancient structure, its towering spire looming like a skeletal finger against the gray sky. Vines twisted around the stone walls, but the building itself seemed untouched by time. As he stepped closer, a wave of unease washed over him. The air felt heavier, charged with something unseen. The massive wooden doors groaned as he pushed them open. Inside, dim candlelight flickered against the walls. The scent of burning incense filled the space, cloying and thick. Father Mathias stood at the altar, his back turned. He was tall, his black robes flowing as though they were made of liquid shadow. When he turned, Daniel felt an immediate wrongness. The priest's face was too smooth, too perfect, like polished marble. His eyes, dark and unreadable, held an unnatural stillness. "Welcome, my child," he said. His voice was deep, soothing, yet something in it sent a chill down Daniel's spine. "I came to attend service," Daniel said, forcing a polite smile. Father Mathias studied him for a moment before nodding. "Then sit, listen, pray." Daniel took a seat near the back. Townspeople trickled in, moving stiffly, their eyes downcast. No one whispered, no one smiled. Then the service began. The priest spoke in a language Daniel didn't recognize. The words slithered through the air, making his skin prickle. No one questioned it. No one even reacted. They sat frozen, listening. Daniel swallowed hard as the candles flickered. Their flames stretched unnaturally tall, casting elongated shadows on the walls. And then the shadows moved. Not with the flickering light, but on their own. They twisted and shifted, whispering in voices Daniel couldn't understand. His pulse pounded. The priest's voice grew deeper, almost guttural, resonating through the church. Daniel gripped the edge of the pew. He could swear the walls were breathing. Something was very, very wrong. That night, Daniel lay awake in his room at the inn, staring at the ceiling. The priest's voice still echoed in his mind, his words like fingers crawling over his skin. Then he heard it, a low, rhythmic chanting. He sat up, heart hammering. The sound drifted through the fog, coming from the direction of the church. Daniel hesitated only a moment before grabbing his coat. If he wanted the truth, he had to see what happened behind the church doors at night. The streets were deserted, the town swallowed by mist. He moved carefully, the cold air biting his. As he approached the church, the chanting grew louder. The heavy doors were slightly ajar. Daniel pushed them open just enough to see inside. Father Mathias stood at the altar, surrounded by hooded figures. The priest's robes rippled as if something slithered beneath them. His voice no longer sounded human. It was layered, as if multiple voices spoke at once. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The figures knelt before the priest, whispering in a tongue that made Daniel's head throb. The air in the church pulsed, thick with something ancient and wrong. Then the priest turned. His face was no longer human. His skin stretched too tight, his eyes hollow pits of darkness. His mouth twisted into a grin, revealing teeth that were too sharp, too many. Daniel stumbled back, but his foot hit a loose stone. It clattered against the floor. The priest's head snapped toward him. The chanting stopped. The church fell silent. And then the priest whispered, "Welcome, Daniel." The doors slammed shut behind him. The devil's chosen? Daniel sat in his small room at the Hollow's Rest, his hands trembling as he replayed what had happened in the church. The way Father Mathias had spoken his name, the unnatural shadows, the feeling of something watching him. It was all too real. He had uncovered strange things before, but this was different. This was evil. The town was hiding something, and he needed to find out what. Old records, dark truths. The next morning, Daniel walked to the town's small library. The building was old, its wooden door creaking as he stepped inside. The librarian, a frail man with gray hair, barely looked up from his book. Daniel approached the counter. "I need to look at old town records, missing persons, anything about the church." The librarian stiffened. His eyes flickered with fear. "Why?" "I'm a journalist," Daniel said. "I need the truth." The man hesitated, then sighed. "They won't like it." "Who?" The librarian didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to the back of the room. "Records are there. Be quick." Daniel wasted no time. He pulled out dusty files, flipping through brittle pages. The more he read, the colder he felt. People had been disappearing in Black Hollow for over a century. Every 10 or 20 years, entire families vanished. No investigations, no bodies found, just gone. And every disappearance had one thing in common: the church. The record showed that Father Mathias had been the town's priest for over 100 years. That wasn't possible. No man lived that long. Daniel's stomach twisted. What was Father Mathias? The old woman's warning. As he left the library, Daniel felt eyes on him. Townspeople stood in doorways, watching in silence. Their expressions weren't angry. They were afraid. He needed more answers. He wandered the streets until he found the old woman from the inn, the one who had warned him to leave. She was sitting on a wooden bench, her wrinkled hands gripping a rosary. Daniel sat beside her. "You know something, don't you?" She didn't look at him. "You should have left when you had the chance." "I can't. Please tell me about the priest." The woman, Martha, sighed. "He is not a man. He has been here longer than any of us. My grandmother feared him, and her grandmother before that." Daniel's heart pounded. "How? He doesn't age." Martha's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because he isn't human. He serves something dark, something that feeds on us." Daniel swallowed hard. "The missing people." She nodded. "They are taken, sacrificed, and if you speak against him," her voice cracked, "you disappear too." Daniel clenched his fists. "Why does the town let this happen?" "Because we are cursed," Martha said, "bound to him. No one can leave, not truly." She looked at him, eyes full of sorrow. "Neither can you." Daniel's breath caught. "What do you mean?" Martha gave him a sad smile. "Try to leave town. See where the road takes you." Daniel shivered. Was he already trapped? Into the priest's house. That night, Daniel made a decision. If he wanted the truth, he had to go straight to the source. Father Mathias's house stood beside the church. It was large and silent, its windows like dark eyes watching the town. Daniel waited until midnight, then slipped through the fog toward the house. The front door was locked. He circled the building, heart pounding, until he found a cellar door at the back. He tugged at the rusted handle. It creaked open. Holding his breath, Daniel stepped inside. The cellar smelled of damp earth and something else, something rotten. He pulled out his flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness. The stone walls were lined with old books and strange symbols carved into the rock. Then he saw them. Bones, piles of them, half buried in the dirt. Skulls grinned up at him, their empty sockets full of silent screams. Daniel's stomach lurched. This wasn't just a home. It was a graveyard. He stepped deeper into the chamber, his pulse hammering in his ears. The walls were covered in faded paintings, images of people kneeling before a towering figure with glowing red eyes. In the last image, the figure opened its mouth and darkness swallowed the people whole. Daniel shuddered. He had seen enough. He needed to get out. But as he turned, a whisper, his name, soft, chilling, coming from the shadows.
Daniel!
He froze. The whisper came again, closer this time. Then from the darkness something moved. A shadow stretched unnaturally, rising from the floor, shifting like smoke. Two hollow eyes opened in its form. Daniel staggered back. The whisper turned into a low, raspy laugh. "Leave," it murmured, "or be next." Daniel didn't wait. He bolted up the stairs, throwing open the cellar door. He ran, breath ragged, feet pounding against the cold ground. Behind him, the laughter followed, echoing in the night. Daniel didn't stop until he reached his room at the inn, locking the door behind him. He pressed his back against the wood, his body trembling. Father Mathias wasn't just a priest. He was something far worse,